Hello, it is Monday, January 9th, 2012 at 1:33 p.m. Central Standard Time. I want to talk to you about this system that we have down in Texas and moving across into Louisiana. I was watching it last night already, and I wanted to show you something in conjunction with that. This loop goes from 4:35 to 7:19 UTC on January 9th. And as you can see here by El Paso, we've got a green area rolling around in circles. And then over here by Odessa, we've got what I call a HAARP frequency ring right here. I just found it interesting that we've got the two side by side, that we've got the blue one and then we've got the green one. And this is clearly rotating. And if we look at the jet stream about that time, you can see that right here the high area is positioned over El Paso. And then we're going to move into a little later, and it's moving in this direction. And right now we're sitting in between, this one's at 1:09 at 12 GMT, and this one's at 1:10 at 00 GMT, and we're sitting at 19 UTC right here, 1935. So we're in between these two. So we're going from this one to this one to this one. And then after that we're going to be proceeding, and you can see this high is going to be moving over towards Louisiana here. Something I've noticed is that these little high areas, we've got one over here too, and we've got the Arctic jet stream dropping down, is that we have these wind patterns on either side, and one seems to be more intense than the other. Like right here at this one, we've got 60 knots to the south of it, to the southeast, and to the northwest of it we've got up to 80 knots. And then if you look at this one down here, the same thing, we've got a lesser one here, 60 knots, and then a higher one here up to 100 knots. So I've been noticing that that's something that seems to be reoccurring. I don't know that it's always the case, but like here again, you can see it's wrapped around. But on one side of it, we've got one thing, on the other side, we've got another. There also. There also. The severity is greater down here because it goes into the purple, 120 knots. And this one's now at 80. So anyway, that's a side issue. Let's go back to what we're seeing now. So now this high area is more over Odessa, and you can see it's circling here. Well, you can't see that very good. I'll zoom in a minute. And we got two areas. It seems to be two sources of the storm coming up for a while here, although this one kind of seems to collapse. But again and again I'm finding, two strings, that we've got two things running side by side. Let me zoom in on that. Well, let's go to the other one. I think it'll show it. All of the radars that we're looking at, unless I say otherwise, go from 16 to about 1845 UTC, and the visible satellite images go from 12 to 1830 UTC on January 9th. So here you can clearly see it right around Odessa. We've got the this center area circulating, the high pressure area. And I'm finding it interesting that these are all kind of breaking into, as it turns here, see how it's breaking into little stringy things. My mouse has delayed reaction. I zoomed in more than I thought. I'm not sure which radar this is. Odessa's up in here. I want to say Austin, but I don't think so. I think this one's Austin. Well, let's go look at it a minute. Right here. San Angelo. So you can kind of see the stringy things right in here. And even up in here. looks like it's, well, no, I was going to say it's keeping a clear area around the Doppler, because sometimes that's the case, but that doesn't seem to be happening here. Or sometimes it does for a while and then it collapses in, and that could be what's happening. So anyway, back to what we were looking at here. Let's unzoom it. And we can see we got this, what I call a HAARP frequency type ring up here coming out of Lubbock. So let's go look at Lubbock. Oops, we're not that far yet. And this Doppler is set in clear mode. You can see it right down here. And I think this is one of them that it's staying clear of the Doppler, but it's coming up close to it. It seems to reform into a line. And then we'll get some heavier type static up above it. Right in here. And I'm seeing that on several of these. I'll try to remember to point them out. You see how it almost looks like this, something comes around here and throws, and then this gets lit up more? I should slow it down just a touch too. Let's go look at, right above Lubbock, we've got, oh, Amarillo. It just escaped my mind here. It looks like it's set in clear mode continually. And it looks like it's pushing on this. And we have a beam coming out here. Let's slow it down. And we've got a continual beam here, continuous beam. You can see it's green here. Let me zoom in. See, it's green here, and it's leaving a gap down here. And the one shooting out is right here. Right at the, almost at right angles, it looks like, to, well, this is too. It just came out, so this one. So it's clearly holding it at bay. Maybe it's not clear to you, but as I show you more here, maybe it will become more so. Let's go back. So we just looked at Lubbock here, which had the frequency ring, and has it here showing. And then we just looked at Amarillo. And then up here in Oklahoma City, you can see that that also seems to be holding this at bay. It just switched modes there. Let's go look at that one. Now it's in precipitation mode. The PR means that when it's the blues. Then it switches to clear mode is the red. So while I'm not seeing any beams, this one appears to be pulsing. And again, you know, you can see that it looks like it's trying to go up, but it's not getting anywhere. I'm going to switch over and show you the visible a minute. Again, the visible goes from about 12 UTC to about 1830. You can see Oklahoma City is about in here. And these clouds seem to almost roll back. And Amarillo's right up in here. I think it's in line with Oklahoma City, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken. So then I want to go over and look at this area over here in Louisiana. Again, we've got the HAARP type rings, frequency rings showing up. around oh, this is interesting. I didn't notice these before. Doesn't mean they weren't there. But anyway, around New Orleans here we've got it, and Mobile, Alabama. We've got each of them have one. And here's that long stringy thing coming up. First I wanted to show you, I'm still stuck on this for some reason. Obviously it was there before because it's there now. But all right, so let's go look at Lake Charles, which is right here, kind of on the edge of this ring. I'll plug my other mouse in here. Make driving this a lot easier. So you notice the storm is just, here's the Doppler at Lake Charles. Notice these two little things we got coming up here in Louisiana. Well, that's not the right spot. That's interesting. Well, no, it is. Because I had something like that last night. I'm going to switch over to that in a minute just because I wanted to show you. I didn't want to forget. This loop goes from 2341 to 236 UTC, starting on January 8th and ending on January 9th. And there's these little, oh, well, let me zoom in. There's several things going on here. This was in the early morning hours. You can see these two little circle things rise up, and they're not birds. Oh, I wasn't supposed to laugh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. See that? And those two little spots that we're seeing over here now kind of reminded me of that. And then also, I did a video a while back, or I think it was over in Georgia. There's this pattern, this, see this line coming down? Now what I found over there, that it was a power line. I went and tried to find one here, but I couldn't, and then I just went on to other things. But I just find it interesting that they're appearing other places now. Because even though things seem to be moving that way, this seems to be moving this way. And here's the Doppler at, I think it's Shreveport. So going back to where we were, let's see, I'm going to orientate myself. I look at so many of these. I'm not that familiar with the South, unfortunately. New Orleans is up here. So now we're going to go look at, oops, got myself messed up. Here we go. Oh, now I got myself really messed up. Here we go. Lord, clear my mind here. Okay. So now we're going to go look at New Orleans. And this is the one that had the frequency ring. And see this little area? This is what I was trying to find on that last map. See this little island thing sticking down here? And I'm sure it's got a name, but that's where the outer ring of this shows up. I just noticed there's a beam right there too. I didn't notice that before. See the little gap that shows up right there? So there's a beam coming out of the Doppler here in New Orleans. But we're going to go back to Lake Charles. I'm going to show you that this is in clear mode, so that means it's more sensitive mode. We're going to have to switch back. This is going to be a little awkward. And then now we're back at Lake Charles. There it goes. So here's that little island thing, and notice that there's nothing showing up here on the radar. We had that ring going around, remember? And there's nothing showing up here. Now this is in precipitation mode, which means it's not as sensitive, but then that means that what's over here is different than what's over here, otherwise it would be showing up as well. what I think is that it's frequency that's showing up, the outer limits of the frequency coming out of the Doppler, I think. But it's not showing up on this one. And I'll show you, we'll go back, but here's that little island, and there's nothing there. And then here's that little island right here. You see all this here? And then also I want to show you these little areas rising up, and that must be what I saw in that other radar, those two areas right here and here. I think they come about the same time as that beam. Let's see. Oh, that one starts rising up right here at 1747. The time's right here, 1747 UTC. And let's zoom in a little bit too. So right here, and now we've got 3 of them. And now this one's starting to rise up over here. And that's right on the border of Mississippi. Right about the point that it comes down here. And now this is turned into, what, 6? 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're all kind of rising up, kind of like what I showed you on the other radar, those 2 spots that rise up. And here's the beam. So the beam shows up. See, it's not there right here. But we do have this hotter area, denser, I guess. So now I just stopped because denser. Now, does that mean it has more of whatever it is in the air? I suppose that's what it means. This is 1944, and you can see the hole right there. And now we're back at the beginning of the loop. And I'm going to show you one more thing. I know this is getting long. There's Mobile, and we have the same thing. We've got frequency that's showing up here that's not showing up on the other radar. New Orleans is right here, and this ring showing up at the edge of this, I don't know if that's Pontchartrain, and then rising up. Let's go back. And see, that ring should be showing up right here, and it's not. And this is on clear mode. See that? CL, clear. It's right here. Going back here. It took me a while to figure this all out. So going back to Mobile, and see Edge of Lake Pontchartrain, if that's it, is right there, and this is on clear mode. So it should be showing up in the center of that other radar. And then we also have those things rising up here, but they're showing up. That was the ones over the other loop. I need to get these side by side. If I can't run 2 of these at once, so, and I can't arrange them for you too right on. It would take me a few minutes. Okay, so let's just go through then, and I want to show you that also, before I forget, that the magnetometer is also showing activity during this period. Remember, the radar loop was from 16 to about 1845 UTC, so here's 16. Well, let's zoom in. We're looking first of all at January 9th. The date's at the bottom there. So 16, and this is 2-hour increments, so this is 18. And so that's now. I mean, it's going through now, and you can see that there's increased activity starting, about shortly after 16. And a pretty good spike right here about, let's see, that's 18, so 17 would be around here. So just a little after 17, we'll get a spike. I also want to show you the jet stream, that we've got the jet stream going all along this area. This isn't the right date. Let me switch over to my paint where I took them. So you can see that the subtropic is just running right along. Here's New Orleans, Mobile, so it's right at that point. This is at 19 at 12 GMT, and then going forward to 110 at 00 GMT, which will be in a few hours here. You can see that it's sitting right along the same place. It's risen up just a little bit here, but it's just coming right along down in here. And I'm going to go ahead and play this through so that you can kind of see where we're going, where we were and where we're going. And here's that high area moving through. And I'll let it go through one more time. Starting at 1900 GMT. Ending at 1:15 at 00 GMT. This is the radar of New Orleans and Mobile. And you can see the two rings distinctly. Here's this one that was kind of yellow, and here's the one that was more red. And you can see there's gaps here between what's approaching and the edge of that. I didn't really see these on radar, but we didn't look at all of them either. Then going to the visible satellite of the same. You can't really see anything in the clouds showing it. And then this is the overview of that same area. You can see there's still a little bit of residue over here at El Paso. And then here's the visible of that. And you can see that this is trying to go up, but it's not. But Oklahoma City's right in here, the Doppler, pushing on it. We're sending out a frequency or doing something to hold it down. And that's the way you steer the storm. So anyway, there you have it. I know this is very long, so God bless you and have a good rest of the day.